Wolfgang Van Halen has seen the highest highs and the lowest lows since the death of his father, but he's persevered with some help from his family and from Barbie. When Eddie Van Halen passed away in 2020, tributes poured in from around the world, but nobody had more to say than his son, Wolfgang Van Halen. In 2021, Wolfgang opened up to People magazine about how he was affected by Eddie's death, referring to it as really tough. He said, "What really helps me keep going is my dad, because if I just gave up and stopped and crawled in a hole, which I feel like doing every day, I know he'd be really pissed off at me. He's the only thing that keeps me going." Being Eddie Van Halen's son hasn't always been easy, though. In 2023, Wolfgang told Classic Rock that even though he's proud to be a Van Halen, he's often seen as, quote, just an extension of the name. He also revealed that he has been dealing with anxiety and depression since the early 2000s, and that he's still dealing with trust issues from a number of traumatic experiences, including his father's drug addiction. Wolfgang revealed that he felt particularly anxious playing his first show with his solo band Mammoth WVH in 2021. "I was sitting there in the little dressing room going, I don't know if I can do this. I found that the time that I'm most unable to control my anxiety is the first time I'm doing something, and that was a really big first."
My dad would be upset if I just kind of dug a hole and just kind of gave up.
By the time of Eddie's death, Wolfgang had played with the band Van Halen for 13 years. He also helped out musical friends such as Clint Lowry and Tremonti in different ways during this period, so he had plenty of experience when it came time to go solo. Even before Eddie's passing, Wolfgang had started work on Mammoth WVH, writing all the songs and playing all the instruments on what ended up becoming his 2021 debut album. Speaking to Overdrive in December 2022, Wolfgang said that Eddie listened to a few of the tracks he was working on when he was still alive. Wolfgang even considered having his father make a guest appearance on the album, but it was always intended to be a solo project at heart. "This is just something for me. It's a sacred experience for me. It's my project and an artistic outlet for me and my mental well-being. I'm so lucky that I have this incredible live band that just slays live, so I get to bring this creation to life on stage." After launching Mammoth WVH, Wolfgang hit the road in support of the debut album in 2021. Part of the tour included a slot supporting Guns N' Roses. One would think an event like this wouldn't faze Wolfgang since he was used to playing with Van Halen for so many years, but he told Consequence that it was a way to test himself on a different level. "It was a wonderful way to start because it's a trial by fire. You're being thrown to the lions every night because the Guns audiences are, at least when we were on there, they would tell us that they're notoriously not very receptive to openers. So when it started going really well, it was like, oh we're actually doing it. It was kind of a dream." In addition to opening for GNR, Axl Rose requested that Wolfgang play Paradise City with the band on the final 2 nights of the tour. Wolfgang agreed to it, though he admitted that the nerves kicked in. He spent every free moment he could learning the track inside and out to make sure he took everyone down to Paradise City when he stepped on stage. Here's a fun fact. Wolfgang is a huge fan of Friends. He explained to The New Yorker that in his school days, he used to watch episodes of the series with his mother, Valerie Bertinelli, who once turned down a chance to audition for a role on the show. In 2021, Wolfgang proved his fan credentials when he headed out on a private Friends experience tour in Gramercy Park, showing off his knowledge of the show's storylines at the different stops. Declaring that, quote, "Nobody can beat me at Friends trivia," he revealed that Matthew Perry's character, Chandler Bing, played a major part in shaping his own personality. After Perry died at the age of 54 in 2023, Wolfgang lashed out at TMZ on his X account, slamming their coverage of Perry's death. Wolfgang drew comparisons to when his father, Eddie, died, and alleged that TMZ paid hospital staff to get private information before the family was even allowed time to mourn their loss. The launch of Mammoth WVH's debut album exceeded everyone's wildest expectations. The record peaked at the number 12 position on the Billboard 200 and earned a Best Rock Song Grammy Award nomination for the track Distance. For Wolfgang, the nomination proved to be an extra special moment because of the story behind the song. He told Variety that the inspiration for the track was born during a bad time in his father's illness, saying, "He did bounce back for a little bit. It was one of those dark periods, and the song was based on those feelings of what it would be like without someone as important in my life as my father or mother."
What was it like those last few months and then those last few days?
It was really rough.
Wolfgang explained that he played a version of the song for Eddie around 2015 and that his father wept when he listened to it. "It was a really special moment that I'll never forget." Ultimately, Distance didn't win the Grammy. That honor went to Foo Fighters for the track Waiting on a War, but Wolfgang found the experience of recording the song to be cathartic, especially after his father's death. The tragic death of Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters caught everyone off guard in March 2022. A tribute concert was organized at Wembley Stadium in September of that year to honor Hawkins and his outstanding musical achievements, with a who's who of musical guest stars playing alongside the Foo Fighters, including Wolfgang. Wolfgang told Spin that he was nervous about playing the event, given there were 90,000 in attendance and many more watching via the broadcast. In fact, he almost turned down the chance to perform, but not because of nerves. When Foo Fighters frontman Dave Grohl asked him to play some of Van Halen's songs, Wolfgang felt uncomfortable playing them without his father. After speaking to his inner circle, though, Wolfgang realized it would be a great way to pay tribute to both Hawkins and his father at the same time, so he did it, to the delight of fans everywhere. Eddie Van Halen is one of the most famous guitarists in history, and the custom guitar he used is equally legendary. Known as the Frankenstein, or Frankenstat, or Frankie for short, this cobbled-together masterpiece was originally purchased in 1977 by Eddie, who then extensively modified it over the decades to produce his signature sound. Among the guitar-playing community, the Frankenstein is known as the Holy Grail, something to be looked at and cherished, but never to be touched by anyone except Eddie. One person who had the opportunity to handle the Frankenstein, though, was Wolfgang. He explained to podcaster Chris Shiflett that he used it to record the tracks Mammoth and Feel off Mammoth WVH's debut album. He told Guitar World, "You can feel the history sort of emanating out of the Frankenstein. Picking up that guitar is almost a religious experience. Even if you're not a religious person, you just kinda hold it and feel the history right there in your hands."
I thought it'd be really fun to have it played on my music and have it be there forever.
The Barbie film ruled 2023, becoming the highest-grossing film of the year and providing a plethora of unforgettable moments. Topping the list, Ryan Gosling's Ken singing the brooding ballad I'm Just Ken. The song crawled into everyone's ears like a perfect earworm and refused to ever leave, even hitting the Billboard Hot 100. And Wolfgang Van Halen deserves some of the credit. Soundtrack producer Mark Ronson worked with co-producer Andrew Wyatt to write the track. Then they enlisted the help of serious heavy hitters in the rock and roll genre to leave their stamp on it. Guns N' Roses lead guitarist Slash, Foo Fighters drummer Josh Freese, and Wolfgang contributed their musical prowess to I'm Just Ken.
Right when Ryan Gosling whips out his abs, there's a guitar tapping solo that happens, and that's me.
Speaking to Billboard in March 2024, Wolfgang explained how he met Ronson at the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert, and everything started from there. "Mark Ronson and I hit it off, and he reached out and hit me up, and it was just a really good time. I spent 2 days in his studio, and we just played around with ideas, and it was a really good time." Wolfgang later joined Gosling and Slash for a live performance at the Oscars, where I'm Just Ken was up for Best Original Song. October 15th, 2023 was a special day for Wolfgang as he married his longtime girlfriend, Andrea Alsop. The couple hosted their wedding in their Los Angeles home and invited 90 of their closest friends and family to share the monumental day with them. Wolfgang walked out alongside his mother to the Van Halen song 316, which his father Eddie had written for him. Bertinelli told People that Eddie would have been happy. Ed would have been absolutely beaming and so proud of the man Wolfie has become and is becoming, and so happy that he has found Andrea, someone who really understands Wolfie, who he is, and who he wants to be, and supports him wholeheartedly. In October 2024, Wolfgang posted a touching tribute to his wife on Instagram, writing, "1 year married, 9 years together, eternally lucky and grateful. Love you more than anything, Andrea. Here's to forever." Though it's been a few years now since the world lost Eddie Van Halen, Wolfgang often still talks about the hole left in his life after his father's death. In January 2024, he posted a picture of the pair on Instagram along with a heartfelt message to his father on what would have been his 69th birthday. He wrote, "I miss hearing you laugh. I miss laughing with you. It's the little things. I'll do my best to keep a smile on my face and think of you today. But then again, that's not very different than any other day so far without you. I love and miss you more than you could ever possibly know." Fans rallied in the comments section, expressing their own birthday wishes to Eddie and letting Wolfgang know his father was loved and appreciated by many. Wolfgang's inclusion in Van Halen beginning in 2007 irked a number of fans who believed bassist Michael Anthony had been fired to make space for Eddie's son. People blamed him for Anthony's departure, claiming Wolfgang was just a Nepo baby receiving handouts. Wolfgang was still just a teenager and received abuse from angry fans for years, but there's never been any tension between Anthony and Wolfgang. In 2023, Wolfgang shared an Instagram photo of him hugging Anthony at a show and referred to him as an old friend. He told Ultimate Classic Rock that he hadn't seen Anthony in 20 years, and it was terrific terrific to catch up with him after all this time. People try to make it seem like there's some animosity, hatred, or competition between us, but it's never been that way. I've literally always loved Mike. He's a wonderful person, wonderful guy, and a wonderful musician. Man, it was such a pleasure and joy to reconnect with him. It was like a family reunion, and for Wolfgang, it's obvious that family comes first.